you know, I wanted to come back on a good note, because I had got my title back and everything, and I had a lot of videos that I had to record, for Dizzle moment and everything that's going on, especially with, the Cody and Roman stuff. But and there's gonna be no intro. This is just gonna be a full on shit fest. And for everybody that has watched us knows me and knows how I feel about Charlotte, it is no fucking surprise. But I think this needs to be said because it's getting to the point where it's like, come on, come on. Like, for the record, I get why they're doing it. They want to give Charlotte as many accolades and as many notches on her belt as they possibly can. And that's their prerogative. That's their prerogative. My only thing is that I just don't understand why it's so important to do this at the expense of so many of the talent, especially Asuka. Especially Asuka. Because it seems like she's the main target every time Charlotte wants to do something. If Asuka is in a position where she is being elevated at the slightest, Charlotte is sniffing around and then bam. And I'm going to get to the point as to why I feel like it's pinpointed and completely targeted onto Asuka. The thing is with Charlotte is that yes, I've been on record to say that I believe that she is a fantastic professional wrestler in her own right. Everything that she says she is. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that WWE will not allow her to rest on that. They have to they have to unnecessarily force her down your throats. This isn't a John Cena situation. John Cena didn't really have he could talk, he could go in the ring a little bit, but he wasn't known for his in-ring prowess. She has the pedigree. She has the talent and the in-ring ability to be fantastic on her own. She doesn't need a fucking push. She already has the last name of the fantastic Ric Flair. You already have that. You don't need anything else. You don't need a push. Your lineage alone is push enough. This is why it bugs the fuck out of me, because you have so many women, not according to Ronda, so many women on this fucking roster who could use a push or some type of just something to get them somewhere. Yet you focus all this time and energy to put the machine behind Charlotte and push her to the fucking moon for no fucking reason at all. Like, it's at the point now where you're not even trying to pretend like you're not doing it. It's blatant, especially with the storyline now. You're blatant about it. Like, you're not even pretending like you're not trying to do it, because you've already input the shit in the dialogue. You put it in the dialogue and you put it in the commentaries dialogue to where it's a well-known fact that Charlotte can come here, say what she wants, get herself in a position, and then run with that shit. I just don't understand why you are putting her ahead of everybody else for the sake of giving her at this point, I believe it's going to be a 17 title reign notch on her fucking belt at some point in the future, probably in the near future. But I'll say this, because I was watching the segment between her and Bianca, and I had to stop because I had to come record this shit. And gladly, Bianca stood on her own, and I appreciate what she has stated. But I will say this, because something and this is the main thing that made me pop up to come record this, is the reason the reason that egged me to do this, because I was going to do some video at some point about this, but I think it needed to be said right now. And that's the fact that Bianca had brought up the fact that she had did everything the right way, she didn't go away, yada yada. But Charlotte's response is the one thing that stood out the most to me, and the reason why I believe Asuka is the one that's being completely targeted, regardless of Charlotte saying how nobody respects her more than Asuka. Spare me with the BS. Spare me with the fucking BS, because I don't believe it for shit. And the reason I don't believe it for shit is because you state in your promo, I don't know if you feel this way, I don't know, whatever, but you stated in the promo, Charlotte, that just like Bianca, she didn't get a rematch either. You stated that you didn't get a rematch just like Bianca didn't get a rematch. Fair. Only thing, two things. One, we've seen storyline wise Bianca lobbying, one, for the rematch, and then two, there was also a conversation before Mania and after Mania about Bianca getting a rematch or lobbying with this whole thing with Pierce. There's been this whole storyline thing with them having this fucking deal back and forth. So my thing is, there was nothing, at least to my knowledge, that there was nothing storyline wise, anything specified about Rhea and Charlotte. Hell, there was barely any interaction between the two prior to Mania. But then when the match happened, she lost. They gave her that nice little money shot on, during Rhea's victory celebration. They had to put Charlotte on camera. They gave her that, and then she went off. Nothing else was said. So second thing is, if that's the case, if you were mad about the fact that you didn't get a rematch, then why didn't you take your ass to Raw, where Rhea is, and lobby for your rematch? Because there's been nothing that's been stated that, oh, I went to go talk to Rhea, she won't give me my match, here, let me go mess with Asuka. You ain't even try to go to, like, what sense does that fucking make to even say that? Again, you're not even trying to hide the fact that, one, you're trying to push Charlotte to the fucking moon for no fucking reason, as if she needs it. And then two, that Asuka is not being targeted, because you had the situation where Asuka came in, she had her full run off of NXT where she was undefeated, carried that undefeated streak, which far and few between on the fact of where they pick and choose what storylines they want to pick up from NXT at that time. But you take that and you put the fact that she hasn't been defeated, blah, blah, blah. You give Asuka her match with Charlotte at Mania. Charlotte beats Asuka, takes her undefeated streak. There's that. Yeah, Asuka may have gotten back and gotten her win back, but come on. What's more important? An undefeated streak where you were just going in, and being completely dominant. But then you have Charlotte come on, and yet, guess what? She's the one person to beat Asuka. To send Asuka on this downward spiral, this snowball effect of just bad booking, losses, and just Charlotte's the start of that. Then you get to the point where Asuka wins the Money in the Bank, and she gets the title from Becky. Granted, it was a surprise thing that the title was in there during Becky's pregnancy announcement. But you give her the title, which is a chance to undo the wrongs that were done previously. And this was, I believe this was, this was after the, this was after the Kabuki Warrior stuff, which I love the Kabuki Warriors run. But you give her the title, but then Charlotte comes back, and then you put them in a tag team together to have them win the women's tag teams, because Charlotte has to have the women's tag titles because she just has that other notch on her belt. But you do that, and you put Asuka there, so Asuka now has to play second fiddle to Charlotte in a tag team where Asuka actually is the women's champion. So yeah, you mask this whole thing by making Asuka seem like, oh yeah, she's got 2 championships, she's a double champ. But it's not the same as it was with Sasha Banks and Bayley when they were doing their whole 2-woman power trip thing. That was different. You could easily look at them and say, yep, they're a dominant team. Both of them individually have their own shit going. Cool. No, you had to make it so that way Charlotte was pretty much the star and Asuka was just the whole dancing livestock champion. She didn't seem like an actual champion. She didn't seem like the like the top, the cream of the crop. Shout out to Macho Man. But it's like you do that, and now you're at this point. No, sure, there was other stuff that was going along the way too, but you do this, and it's like, what are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? This makes no sense. And I don't understand why it's necessary for Charlotte to always be in these positions. She has the accolades already. I don't understand why you just can't space this shit out. You can't space this shit out to where Charlotte can actually help up and coming talent, help build the division. She can say that she that's an accolade for you right there. She can say that she helped build this division on her back alone and brought it up to prominence. Nobody says this. Not one person says this. You know who says that? You know who they say that about? They say that about Sasha. They say that about Bayley. Sometimes they say that about Becky. But primarily Sasha and Bayley. They don't say the shit about Charlotte. They say, yeah, Charlotte's good. But what is she doing for the actual division? Because most of the shit that she does is for herself. Yes, you can say that Charlotte did the deed for other people, did the deed for Rhea. She beat Rhea first. She beat Rhea first. And then, then she did the deed. She beat Asuka first, and then she did the deed. See, the thing is, Charlotte doesn't give until she gets. It's as simple as that. You tell me one person that Charlotte has lost to that she hadn't beat before. You tell me that. You tell me that. Because as far as I'm concerned, there is nobody. And you could maybe Ronda, maybe I'd have to go back and check. But I mean, you had to have legit the baddest woman on the planet come in and actually do that. You couldn't do that to somebody who deserved it. Ronda, that's nothing. Ronda doesn't need it. Ronda doesn't need the rub for the win. She doesn't need that. So if she's the one that you can bring up, I don't even count that. I can't count that. But that's the thing, though. And it sucks. It sucks so much because you have so many women. You have so many women who deserve a push, a rub that can help propel the division alone. But you put all this time and energy into Charlotte and focus so much on making sure that she can be somewhere that she doesn't need help getting to. Bayley didn't need it. Sasha didn't need it. Becky got it, thankfully, from the fans. And, granted, they're going a little awry with the whole Becky thing, but that's beside the point. But even now, but Becky still helps. Becky still helps the division in her own right. Because you think that Zoe Stark is going to come out of this thing with Becky and not get something out of it? Becky's going to help bring her up. Who has Charlotte helped? Who has Charlotte helped that did not help her propel herself? And yes, she's not about to beat Asuka. They're gonna throw something in there, which is probably the Bianca thing. But she's not gonna. I doubt that Charlotte's going to allow Asuka to go over clean. You know, it's it's just one of those situations. I do not envy Asuka or Bianca in this situation because I have a feeling that they're gonna find their way to potentially get that title back on Charlotte, and then she might end up at another Mania as champ or in a championship match, and more than likely try to lobby to get night one main event. It this is just it's at the point where I'm disgusted by it because I can't fucking stand it, and I can't stand her, as a character. And this is completely different from the Roman Reigns thing, because when they tried to push Roman Reigns to the moon in the beginning, there was potential there already that they could have gone a different way. With Charlotte, Charlotte's best potential run was probably in NXT. You can sit here and say stuff that she done on the main roster was cool, but she felt more relatable in NXT because she had the lineage and the last name, but you could get behind her trying to fight for herself and get to a point. Once you got to the main roster, it was like, so long, regular people. This is Charlotte Flair, Ric Flair's daughter. That's exactly what it was. And I can't stand Charlotte. I can't fucking stand Charlotte. There's not going to be anything in me that's going to look at this situation and care about Charlotte, because you're past the point where you could have done something to help her character, to make her feel more relatable, to make her seem as though, hey, I'm here, like a John Cena. You can push John Cena all you want, but John Cena was able to get himself to a point where he became relatable, he became that fan favorite, and now and he did everything that he could to make sure that he could give back to the roster. Charlotte is probably going to go out of this whole thing and be looked at as selfish. You could have, and you're not going to convince me. Yeah, I will say this: it is fun to woo, but that's due to Ric Flair though, because it's his thing. It's fun to woo. So anybody and everybody is going to woo, regardless of how they feel about Charlotte. I'm convinced that those cheers on SmackDown are piped in crowd noise. Prove me otherwise. Anybody that's been to a show that Charlotte's been at as of recently, comment down below and let me know if everybody was booing or cheering. Because you can't tell me as many people that understand how Charlotte's been pushed and actually agree with, especially what I'm saying, to some degree. It's you can't convince me. You can't convince me. And even if it got to the point where now she started to give back to the roster, you've already done too much damage to the point to where it's not gonna fucking matter. Because I'm always going to think that Charlotte's doing this to get something out of it. It's not genuine. That's how I'm going to look at it every time from now on moving forward. So that's what it is. That's what it is. I will be happy when she is out of the company, because she doesn't serve a purpose. Because as long as she's there, she's always going to be taking up a spot for somebody that truly deserves it more. And that's what, because like Asuka could have, you have so many matches that Asuka can get into, so many matches that she can have with people that would have been that's on SmackDown now. And now you're taking time away from those women so that way Charlotte can get her moment in the spotlight again and again and again. Fucking ridiculous, man. Well, it is what it is, man. So whether you loved it, hated it, don't forget to rate it. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave all your comments, concerns down below. But if you feel the same way that I feel about Charlotte, go ahead and just put a ditto in the chat. Whatever, bro. I cannot stand Charlotte. I can't. It's fucking ridiculous. It's fucking ridiculous. But yeah, tag the fucketh.
Dollars make a way to make a change. Gotta be insane to make them same mistakes again. So I'm switching lane to lane. Pray the curb don't scrape.